Welcome to the RealTrending podcast, where we speak to the brightest minds in real estate about leadership, business growth, trends, and strategy. I'm your host, Tracey Velt. I'm the Senior Director of Data and Content for HousingWire and RealTrends. And today, I'd like to welcome Lennox Scott, CEO of John L. Scott Real Estate in Washington State. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Tracey. I appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, absolutely. I first want to just start out with, you have your company has been around for 90 plus years. You are, I think, third generation, or you're in your fourth generation. Your daughter is coming into the company as well. So you've seen a lot of succession planning and been through a lot of that. So why don't you tell me a little bit about some of the lessons that you've learned and a little bit about what's going on with your company right now?
Well, thank you. And we are in our 92nd year, so I can see our 100th year from here in year 2031. So I'm very excited about that. And being in a family business, each generation is different. My granddad's team, my dad's team, my mom and dad, and our team here today, and then in the future, my daughter, Savannah. It'll be her and her team that will move things forward. And the biggest item in succession planning within a family business, of course, is engagement, involvement. Each of us started at a early age of just being around company events and being in, especially with Savannah and her sister Stephanie, being involved with our John L. Scott Foundation for community service, and just the joy of being part of a family team. And then later on, of course, it's them forging their own way. And with Savannah and her sister, they were both national high point champ for the Appaloosa industry. So the work ethic showed up, the commitment to being your best, and they, having that aptitude to succeed in business. And then one of the key items that we did, and it was for myself also, and for Savannah, was being an assistant for one of our top agents in the company. So coming right out of college, during college, Savannah was an assistant, interned 1 year, full-time assistant, and then right after college. But learning the business, being involved in the presentations of both the purchase agreements and listing presentations, and then selling on her own. And getting that background, but that success path really set it up for her as it did for me. And now Savannah's working at our service center, working on special projects. And again, she's been engaged in our leadership meetings for a couple of years, our office leadership meetings, our executive meetings, helping us move programs forward, interacting with our vice presidents and support team members and our office leaders. So it's a pathway. She graduated with a degree in economics and marketing, and now is going to go back to an executive business program. And it's just engagement. But one thing I learned is each of us, it's really, and I asked her this question, is what do you want to create? Where do you want to take the company? Because it's not about me anymore. I'm at the legacy phase right now in my career, and I'll be here in year 2031 and then beyond. But that's what I also had to go through that, because it was no longer my granddad's team or my dad's team. It was our team, and what did we want to create as a leadership team and as with our broker associates and support team. And then it'll be next generation leadership. Again, Savannah's already engaged with our young professional network on our DEI advisory group, in our leadership meetings, also, just part of our John L. Scott Foundation, all those items. So that's kind of where we've come from.
Yeah, I always find it fascinating because I feel like with every generation, you're building a whole new business. You're building upon what the past generation did, but things change and there's new ways of doing things. So what did you feel like you changed in taking the company over from your father?
Well, the generations before my generation, they came through serving in the military. So it was more of a military structured type of environment. reporting in, and commitment, of course, to accomplishing. And I did not serve. I'm very appreciative of those that have. But ours is more of a collaborative environment. And we, of course, know the next generation is all about, they're infused with collaboration and technology. So they'll take it to a whole new level. That was probably the major thing that we brought in as a team. I started, this is my 45th year in leadership in the company. When I started out, I didn't know. I was totally committed during the Great Recession of the 80s. We had an office leadership meeting every Saturday morning to figure out, okay, what do we just do? What are we going to do this next week? Because we had to go through a major recession. And so that really set our foundation at that time.
Yeah, and obviously the market is really uncertain right now. We're not sure where it's going to go. Hopefully, honestly, there's always opportunity in no matter what the market is. But what are you doing to prepare your company for, the maybe the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, back about 8 months ago, or maybe even a little bit further in the summer of last year, we came up with the phrase, be proactive and business smart, because you need to do both sides of the ledger. A business smart, of course, is watching expenses, consolidation, get back down to your core to move through this market, to set the foundation for growth. Because real estate goes in a 10-year cycle. Last year, 2022, was the adjustment year. This year, the market solidifies, probably this year and next year, and then we'll have 7 years of growth. So that's on the business smart. On the proactive side, boy, have we ever zeroed in on where business comes from. There's only one activity that drives business, and that's business development activities. Everything else comes along for the ride. The listing presentations, the purchase agreements, the open houses, all that comes along for the ride. But our main focus in our business development activities is our individual agents database. And it's not just having a database sending out the items every month, but it's the connectivity with that database. And that's where we're really elevating, helping each of our individual agents. Not only do we do the database for them and the content and sent delivery systems, but we also come up with a lot of the connectivity items for engagement. That's where you double your business. And that's what we're committed to, setting that, getting back to those core activities for the next decade.
Yeah, relationships, right? It's all about relationships and building on the ones that you have and making new ones. And I think that some of the agents who might be newer to the business or never been through a cycle like this haven't had to do a lot of, prospecting, and, they've done the minimum of reaching out to their sphere just because business was really good. They had to work really hard to get a contract through, but, to get an
Right.
offer accepted. But, business kind of was flowing. So, those skills are so important, and that is where the opportunity is right now.
Yeah, well, we took a look at the 80-20 rule in the theme you're moving on here, is that 80-20 rule is where 20% implement and they get 80% of the success. Well, we found out the code to break into the 80-20 rule because we want 80% plus having success. And the code was supporting our broker associates, narrowing their focus down to 1 or 2 items that will really move the needle. Because as you were saying, it is all about the relationship, especially in real estate, the trusted relationship of a competent professional. And if you're engaged, you elevate yourself above all the other brokers and agents in the industry with that individual clients, and therefore you get more their business and more referrals.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned technology, and we will talk a little bit about technology because I know that you've done a lot with artificial intelligence. I read an article on a business technology website, and it says you're using it to remove racist language from property documents. So talk to me a little bit about what you're doing on that front.
Well, how we got there was, of course, the George Floyd murder. We immediately, within a week, had an office leadership conference call. And what came up is, well, there's still language in property documents, racist language, although they're unenforceable, they're still in documents. And people are going, well, why is that? And recent generations don't even know about this unless they happen to come across a property document. But prior to the Fair Housing Act of 1968, there was racist language and the term called redlining, where banks would loan money and there was steering of customers at that time. Well, that is unacceptable. That was unacceptable. And by just knowing the language is in there, it brought up inquiry. Why is that? Why did that happen? Why is it happening? I'm so proud of our Washington realtors. We went to the state legislature and got mandatory fair housing education requirement for licensing every 2 years. We are also looking at removing racist language. And the Washington realtors, with our energy and others, we got that passed to remove the possibility to remove that language out of the documents. And where this comes up is our company operating officer, Phil McBride. He was in a conversation with Amazon, and Amazon Global Initiatives took this on. So they are now working with us in the state of Washington, and 60% of documents are digitized. Well, with AI, they can go in and see which of the documents still have the racist language in it, and subsequently it will be able to be removed. Now, we're not quite there yet because we're working on processes within the state because it's a judicial activity to be able to streamline that so that to make it easy to remove this language. So the AI will discover the language, we'll get the process set, and we'll be able to move forward down the road with that. And there's people ask the question, well, if it's unenforceable, why does it really matter? It's still in there. Well, we went back to the Martin Luther King speech, I Have a Dream speech in 1962. And one of the statements in his speech that really pertains to this also is we can never be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their self-worth and robbed of their dignity by signs stating for whites only. Well, that's exactly what's in these documents. It's basically saying for whites only, it's unacceptable what happened. It's unacceptable the language is there. We'll archive the documents so they're not lost. And there's the museums that have displays about redlining, so the conversation will never be lost. This will never happen again. So that's just one of the efforts of using AI for the society and the public good, and really to bring us back into integrity with the U.S. Constitution and Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, and now is that you're talking about property records or
yes,
what? Okay.
Property documents.
Yep, that's what I figured. So I think that's just a fascinating endeavor. So, congratulations on moving that forward.
Thank you.
And let's talk about opportunity today in today's market. Where do you see the most opportunity for brokerage owners today?
Well, there's several areas. Of course, is focusing on what's taking place today. We know there's 30% fewer homes coming on the market. Although the ones that are coming on, we're at a frenzy market again. So they're selling quickly. Homes are selling fast. So it's just being in tune, not listening to the press, but really focused in on what is really taking place, and then engaging with our client base about are they looking forward to an opportunity. We see the people, what's really moving the market right now is more in the retirees, seniors, estates, where they have 100% equity or high equity. Homeowners who have been in their home over 4 years have 50% equity in our marketplace. And then we're also seeing life events. And for all those homeowners that have 3% mortgages, the reason why they're moving is a life event is taking place. Either a family formation or dissolving, new kids, jobs. Those are the main reasons for people moving that have a 3% mortgage. Otherwise, it is the other sector of opportunity for those that have major equity. So we're focused in on that of those individuals. Separately, it's approaching other companies to purchase and merge into our existing offices. And we've done many of those. It's a win-win-win situation for the company because we're able to acknowledge and respect who they are and what they've accomplished. It's great for their agents because we have the programs, and it's a win for us also to be able to grow an individual office with talented agents moving forward. So that's another one of those big items.
Hi, this is Tracey Velt, and I've got Mark Adams, Vice President of Real Estate for RealTrends, on the podcast today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the agent and team rankings coming up. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what our audience needs to know about qualifying for those rankings?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Tracey. We're really excited to announce a rather large change in how we allow agents and teams to qualify for the rankings. And this will start in the current rankings period for 2023, which showcases production in calendar year 2022. So if you're an agent and you've had over 40 transaction sides or 16 million in volume, or a team with over 60 transaction sides or 24 million in volume, again, this is calendar year 2022 and excluding commercial, land, lot, lease, rentals, and referrals, we want you to submit your data today to participate in the industry's trusted rankings program with RealTrends and Tom Ferry.
Yes. So, it's important to note, again, like you said, only residential transactions are included in the rankings. And what is the deadline for that? And tell me a little bit about when they'll be released as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So RealTrends has partnered with the vast majority of the largest national brands in the country to receive qualifying agents and teams information automatically. So the best recommendation I have for the audience is if you qualify, have a quick conversation with your broker to understand if they'll submit for you or if you need to submit your data yourself. If you would like to submit yourself, you can head over to realtrends.com and apply today. We're going to stop accepting submissions on April 14th, and we're planning on releasing the rankings mid-June. So again, have a quick conversation with your broker if you qualify, submit your data today, and we'd love to feature you on this year's rankings.
Okay, great. And I'm going to throw this one in here and we can cut it out if you don't really have an answer, but I am curious because of the whole Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank and some of the regional banks that are experiencing some difficulties right now. Has that been affecting your market, or do you see that impacting mortgages in your market at all? Or
Well, what happened, that was kind of a shock to the financial psychology.
Yes.
And it got to be a run on the bank, and because social media and everything just gets everything done at once. So that was a situation, and they did not cover their risk that they were taking by covering it.
Yeah.
So that was an unfortunate situation. We are not seeing that elsewhere.
Okay.
But what happened is that the bond market reacted immediately, thinking the Feds weren't going to raise interest rates up like they were talking they were going to raise up. Now, they may end up doing it. We'll see next week. But it did bring interest rates down 0.5 point for home mortgage interest rates. And because just in early February, interest rates went up 1 point from where they were, because the bond market was finally threw in the towel saying, okay, the Feds are going to go up higher in rates than we were expected. And I loved January because I thought we were going back in the fives because I thought the bond market was anticipating what the Feds were going to do, but then it didn't turn out that way. So we'll be in these rates for this period of time. There's a major inflection point coming up in June is the debt ceiling increase, the federal government, and hopefully that we claw back some of those the spending. Hopefully this one new oil drilling isn't the only one, and we get back to energy independence. That's the quickest way to get inflation down and get interest rates down, but we'll just see how far they go on that. So there's these different inflection points along the way. This summer will be critical in seeing where rates are going to be for the rest of this year. And also, there's a premium right now in interest rates. Normally, rates you have the 10-year bond and interest rates are approximately 2 points above that. Right now, they're 2.75 above that because the world markets are saying we want a premium, not knowing where interest rates are going. Well, once inflation trails over or flattens out and starts trailing down, that premium will come off, that 0.75 point. And we're very excited about that as a possibility to bring us back down into the upper fives. And we're good to go. The marketplace has gone through the psychological adjustment from last year of coming off premium pricing. of the increase in rates. And now it's here's what's going on in my life. What are the opportunities that people are focused on today?
Yeah, I was just curious. It's a fascinating case study if you read about it, with Silicon Valley Bank and that. So, and I think they invested heavily in mortgage-backed securities. So I wasn't sure how that was really going to impact the market in general.
Short term, we're okay,
Yeah.
but we'll have to see how it plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about the rankings. Your company has been submitting to the rankings since 2003. I think you're one of the longest tenured, been in the RealTrends 500 for all of those years. And last year, you were number 28 by transaction side. You're a large regional brokerage. So what is the key to continually building on your success every year?
Well, it's our principles are everyone productive and selective recruiting. That's what drives our company for revenues and for our success, to be able to have the revenues for the departments, the talent to bring forward programs to assist our agents. Our office leaders are just champions, and support team that create the positive foundation of moving things forward. So it is a vision of what we're doing. We have our core value is living life as a contribution. It's a registered trademark, but we came up with what is the bigger purpose of who we are as a company, and it was to create this positive environment for each of us to express ourselves of being a contribution in life. That's one of the greatest joys. And we do that with our clients of being a contribution to them, our buyers, our sellers, and those in our database. We're supportive to our teammates. We all of us get behind the John L. Scott Foundation, supporting children's healthcare in every market. And then we take that experiential learning and environment home with family and friends, community, and place of faith. And so that is a culture, and we just walk in the solutions. We walk in excellence and to be our best.
Yeah. Now, and what are you looking at other than recruitment? Are you doing a lot of walkovers or M&A locally?
Yes, definitely. We've had several offices come in, especially in this environment. The whipsaw that the rates took us through of being so low and then being so high, that really shook the system. And now it's back to real life real estate and actually individual agents doing the work and really scheduling their success, because that's where it's going to come in. Because there's no other activity but business development engagement. Yep. That's going to carry the day, because we already have all the other experience. We've been through every market in the world this last couple of years, the ups, the downs, and everything else. We got that. But so it's just really engagement.
Yeah, that's great. And, one of the things that I've noticed is really a lot of, I've been in real estate for a long time too. So I've seen the disruptor. That was like the word of the day, right? All these tech companies were disruptors. And now they might be trying to disrupt, but they're not saying that they're trying to disrupt. But then there are a lot of them that are really partnering with brokerage companies. And I've seen a shift in brokerage. Their agent is their primary client, but they also know that they have to serve the customer as well, or the consumer, because they're looking at wanting more options. They want more. So what are you seeing as far as that trend goes? Is there anything that you're working on or doing that'll help your agents serve the consumer more and offer more options to them?
Well, a word we use is helping create higher level of certainty. And we do that with buyers and sellers. So with buyers, it's not just getting pre-approved, it's helping them get fully underwritten before they write up a purchase agreement. Because then there's greater certainty when the agreement's being presented to the seller, they're fully underwritten. It's just now the appraisal. Everything else has been done, and it shortens the time frame. We also are working on the integrated transaction process. We're down to the 10-day transaction process now. The property transfer date might be a month out, but the process is down, and that creates greater certainty for both buyer sellers and for our agents to be able to have balance of life or higher productivity. They have more time available for that. For sellers, we have a program, a John L. Scott program, we trademark it, called Market Ready Plus, where we have a source of funds to help sellers fix up, spruce up, and showcase their property, to really bring the value out for their property. So that's a higher level of service, of bringing value forward in what we're doing.
I love that take on it, bringing certainty to everything, the transaction to buyers and sellers. I really like that take a lot because I think real estate is full of uncertainties. So eliminating as many as you can, reduces stress all around too.
Yeah, and we have an expression: if it isn't instant, it's not fast enough. So, and I've had people say, well, why do you need to get the transaction process down so low? Well, we want it that way because it's a higher level of service. Yeah. We want to get it down to the 5-day, and that's where we're moving towards right now, to the 5-day process. And we know 10 years from now, it'll be 1 day because all buyers will be fully underwritten. Every house will be maybe pre-inspected. It can sell at a nanosecond and the process be complete. We know that's where the industry is going. AI is going to take us there, but there's another term for AI, actual intelligence. And we are using our systems to be able to drive this right now, knowing where the future is going. And that's what's part of being in the rankings all over these years. It's being proactive, positive, proactive, and productive family team environment. And so we have strategy meetings every month that we talk about these things and we anticipate where the market's going, because real estate is so predictable. Of what's going to happen next, and you can look out 3-6 months and already know what's what time of year it is, what the psychology in the market is, what's going to take place, and it just reinforces our agents and their languaging with their individual clients. One more statement we have: while everything continues to change, the core of our business remains the same. So what I mean by that is everything's changing with technology to speed everything up, more information, video, everything. That's all continuing to change. The core is our relationship. And we talked about that, Tracey, already. It is that relationship. 80% of our listings are from people, direct or referrals from people we know. 50% of our buyers. That has not changed at all, even though everything else around it has.
Yeah, well, you've definitely built a strong culture, and that, obviously leads to success as well. Maintaining that culture and adapting as you move through different generations, leading the company as well. So that I love the culture side of things as well, because I feel like that I can definitely see it in certain companies. And other companies, they tell me their culture and I'm like, oh, okay. I don't really see that, in what you're doing, but it's the way to attract agents. Obviously, there's room for all different business models and companies out there, but there's definitely a cultural fit, that most agents look for.
Yeah. Each of us can do more business if we're in a positive environment of where the expectation is just walking in success, walking in, providing a great service level, being involved in the community, having a higher purpose.
Yeah.
And although transactional excellence is what we do within our business, our higher purpose is approaching life as from being a contribution.
Yeah, and just to clarify with the audience, you never actually said this is our culture, but a lot of the things that you have talked about, you live and you can tell that. And that, I think, is what really attracts people to your brokerage. So
yes.
It might have seemed like I was diverging in an odd way, but, culture it doesn't actually have to be defined specifically. It's all about like some of the things that you said you believe in and your company believes in. So just wanted to clarify that a little bit. And let's go into the future. So is there anything happening in the real estate environment today that might change the way you do business or cause you to add new services?
Well, we've gone over quite a bit already. So it's anticipating the new technologies. And of course, the chat GPT is exciting. And, the internet was exciting, the mobile, all those items. Now we're to video everything, voice activated situation. just the speed of the processes. And we're working with MLSs to set up grids, like a Northwest grid. So we have one information and delivery, time delivery standards of supplying information to brokerages and their agents. Not just within that MLS, but within a region. So that's coming forward. It really doesn't matter what's going on out there. We adopt everything, or adopt the items that we know will make an impact. We don't adopt everything. We adopt the items that will make an impact, but that support the individual agent's relationship, because that being their trusted advisor, that consultation, and it's not just about personal representation. It's about being their personal representative. I'm your personal representative in partnering with you to help move forward, either buying or selling in what you're doing. So we're bringing it down to the personal level and supporting that individual agent.
Okay, great. And some of the changes that could possibly be impacting real estate have to do with all of the class action lawsuits right now. Do you see that, impacting? I guess it's hard to say which way it will go, obviously, but is there anything you're doing now to prepare for that, or do you feel like the way you run your business, you're not that worried about it?
Well, of course, we as an industry need to be more transparent with the buyer side commission, so that buyers have an opportunity to know what the commission is on the buyer side. They can have the discussion, and then therefore we need to increase our value presentation on the buyer side, just like we have on the seller side. And that's where you get to personal representation. My job is to help you buy the right home at the right price. Because the buyers find the home 60% of the time on the internet. It used to be 30% of the time out of the newspaper. So that really hasn't that really hasn't changed that much. That buyers have a lot of energy to seek out properties. It's just easier now because it's on the internet. But it really comes down to representing them. What is their desired items that they want for the home? Is that home right for them? And that's why we go through the consultation and then the networking with the other brokers to help them get the right home, help get them buyer ready, so that they create certainty for the seller, for the listing broker and the seller to accept the transaction. Negotiation skills are very also very critical to that. So networking with the other brokers and negotiation skills in representing a buyer. So it's transparency, and we have that right now in one of our major multiples. It's right on the front of the purchase agreement now of what the buy side commission is.
Yeah, I feel like the industry has become more transparent, over the years, regardless. And there are a lot of options for buyers as well,
Right.
to choose the type of business model they want to choose when, working with a brokerage. So it'll be interesting how it all shakes out. But my final question is just what's next for John L. Scott?
What's next for John Scott? Well, we're working through this phase in the market. As the industry consolidates to those who are putting the work in versus those who are not. We have that attraction and moving forward, solidifying the base, then to move forward from that point. We are also, the big push has happened in the industry of working, having home offices. Agents having home offices. So as leases come up, of course, we're going to look at the footprint of our offices. Just like we did in 2008, we were able to, we eliminated 50% of our square footage, and we could double the size of the company in the remaining square footage. That same type of events coming up now over the next couple of years to reposition our footprints for effectiveness, service centers for our broker associates as we move forward.
Great. Well, Lennox, thank you so much for joining the RealTrending podcast. We appreciate all of your insights and advice. So thank you.
Right. I appreciate it, Tracey. All the best to you.